I'll wait for the stream to show up.
I just got the notification.
All
Yeah,
right.
we're live.
We're live. Welcome. A bit behind schedule, but we're here nonetheless. Thanks to all who are here watching tonight. We decided, since there's no official races in Tier 1 or Tier 2 this week, we'll do a bit of a podcast, a bit of a season review, kind of go over where we are, how we got here. The cars the guys driving tonight, they're doing the F2 cars. We figured that'd be fun. That'll just kind of be a backdrop for our discussion. I'm joined here with 4 others, I believe it is. I'll do them a brief introduction. So we have Doth Thou Hoist.
What's going on?
There he is. We have RC7. I don't hear him. Maybe he's on mute. We have Fuzz.
Yo, it's me.
There he is. And we have our newest addition to T1, T-Money.
How's it going?
Alright, so I figure we'll start first just kind of going over the standings from Mexico, the last race we had before the break. Kind of give everyone an idea of where we are now, and then we'll go through a bit and just kind of discuss how we got here. So just very briefly, top of the standings, we have Puff Digital with 148 points, JFD in second with 133, Doth Thou Hoist in third with 104, F1 Jinnit to Win It with 99, in fifth we have RC7 with 98, in sixth Beck with 81, seventh is Camden Luca with 68, eighth is Ryan with 54, ninth Sir Harry Hotspur with 43, 10th Gruesome Car with 40, 11th we have D-Zag with 36, 12th Arabiga with 34, 13th Zamoglis with 26, 14th T-Money winning last week's race with 25, Fuzz down in 15th with only 7 points, Sam with 6, Stig in 17th with 6 as well, Prince Ali in 18th with 2, and then Brent and Sam 19th and 20th with 0. So, any thoughts off the bat? How are we feeling about this? Everyone happy with where they are?
I mean...
Well, go ahead, Fuzz.
I mean, I feel like some people have just fluked their way to the top. Like, there's a lot of undeserved points among the 148. The point out
He's going to start telling us he has the best fans.
I mean, yeah. Jinnit and RC are very close. That's pretty insane. Like, they're fighting for 4th place, and they're only 5 points behind Doth in 3rd. So, that's going to be a good one to watch, like, towards the end of the season. T-Money has more points than me with 1 race than I have in 10, so that's a bummer. But, you know.
About triple, I think. Even more. So
Yeah.
more than triple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you raise a good point, though. I mean, there's a few clumps throughout the standings that just kind of show, I guess, at least for me, I feel this year has been the most competitive we've had by far. I mean, you mentioned the group from 2 through 5, very close. And then if you look, I mean, 8th through about 12th is only 20 points. So the midfield has been all over the place. Which has been quite exciting, at least in my opinion.
Something that's great about this league is that it seems that everybody has somebody around their speed to race with on a week-in, week-out basis. And so there are all these kind of little mini fights in the middle where, like, I'll look and I'll see, like, you know, right next to me on the grid or something like that will be Jinnit or RC or JFD or UPuff, and I'll be like, oh shit, like, okay, how do I jump in front here on lap 1 and then try to hold it? Because you know, like, that 1 position difference hurts you twice. If I finish, you know, 4th and RC finishes 3rd, I lose out on 3 points, and RC gets 3 more than me. So, like,
yeah.
It, you know, that's a killer.
No, for sure. I mean, even if we go and look at the constructors' standings, again, there's not much breathing room throughout a lot of these teams here. only a 6 point difference at the top. There's a bit of a gap down to Ferrari, but I mean, Ferrari, Toro Rosso, McLaren, Haas, Alpha now with Team Money, um, quite a formidable team. I could see that changing drastically in the second half of the season.
I would agree.
Team Money, actually, let's get your thoughts. You joined last week, first race in T1. Any first impressions? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good about the league, as was mentioned before. There's a lot of competition. It's not just straightforward every single week that you're gonna take first place or even be in the top 5 for that matter. I mean, there's a lot of competition. It was really good that I was able to make the one stop and at Mexico and win, get some early points and kind of help maybe be able to crack into, I don't know if I'm lucky, maybe like the top 7 by the end of the season. I also do think that me and Beck, I think there's a good opportunity there that we can bring a Alfa Romeo possibly into the top 3, depending on how that goes. But yeah, overall, I mean, like I said, I truly enjoyed my first race in Tier 1, and there's a lot of good competition.
Yeah, well, obviously a great first impression, and I mean, I don't think any of what you said was unreasonable. I think, obviously, we're all pretty familiar with your pace in Tier 2, and then you just kind of solidified that. Sorry, guys, excuse me. Last week in Mexico, so I mean, I'll say I wouldn't be too surprised if Alfa Romeo was in third in the constructors, and I wouldn't be surprised to see you in the top 7 by the end of the season. That being said, Doc, how do you feel about Ferrari's chances of holding third?
I feel quite good about them. I think the team chemistry at Ferrari is, we're basically the real life McLaren. We take pictures and take pictures of us in the Step Brothers cover, like Sainz and Lando, and we're basically bros. We're also rocking the same aerodynamic hairstyle. We're both bald, so gets us a little more speed, and we're just one giant meme factory, and it's pretty awesome.
I mean, I'm yet to see a single alleged meme, so I'm gonna press X to doubt.
When are you gonna start sharing them in the Discord? I want to see these Step Brothers style photos.
Yeah. Oh, what's up, RC? Perfect timing there. So.
Yeah, I want to see some Christmas cards from Doth and Zide next December.
We may put something like that together. So.
All right. We'll definitely make sure we share that on our socials as well, so everyone can get an idea of Doth and Zyg. Yeah, honestly.
It's funny. It's funny that Tier 1 Ferrari is like real life McLaren, but Tier 1 McLaren is like real life Ferrari, where we can't win the constructors to save our lives if our lives depended on it. And I mean,
all right. Well, I figure why not? We'll go back to race 1, all the way back to Britain, where the F2 race is taking place currently. It's been a while. I honestly can't remember too much of what happened. I did get the win and pole position, and I remember Zamaglis actually had a really strong pace. Our roster at that point in time was also quite different. We'll kind of try to keep up with that as we go through race results and everything, but I don't know. How did you guys feel? Start of the season, brand new. Team Money, when you jump in, you can tell us about Tier 2, but how is everyone feeling? Championship aspirations, I assume. Well, it's been, I'll say at least for that race, JFD, he was a bit of a sleeper. We had picked him and Harry as a potential constructor in our season preview podcast. So to see him down in 5th, I'll say I wasn't necessarily too worried after race 1. I was definitely worried about you, you and Doth, always worried about you guys, and Jeanette as well, who was a new addition to T1 at the start. Buzz, I also think, had a good qualifying. No, did you not qualify first or not first?
I
Top
qualified
3?
second, yeah. I qualified second. I ended up losing a couple places off the start. And then I had my infamous pit wall incident where I Grosjeaned into the wall. And I ended up outside the points in that first one.
That's the most watched video on my YouTube channel, is into that wall.
You're welcome.
Well, I mean, that's kind of been not to jump too ahead, that seems to have been a bad omen for your season off the very first race. It didn't really get any better. No comment, I guess, from Buzz there. He's just gonna sit in silence on that one. Yeah. Can't wait till we move to the next one, I guess. Doth, you were down in 9th, I see. Talk us through what happened there.
Yeah, so I was I qualified 5th or 6th. I tried to that was my first time turning off the line in an official ZOR event, and which was scary because I also don't want to crash into anybody, and part of the thing that the line does is at least I have the same information as everybody else as to when they're braking and whatnot. So I ended up turning it back on for the race, and I was having a good race. I'd actually passed Zamaglis for second place with like 2 or 3 laps to go, and then we made contact, and I spun around in circles on the start-finish straight as I was crossing over to start the last lap. So I ended up finishing the race in 9th, and then getting knocked down to 10th because I actually had a touch with Ryan, and I got my first penalty point in ZOR. So,
I do actually, I'm remembering it now as you say it. It's all flooding back.
So
obviously a bit disappointing, obviously.
Sure.
But first penalty, how did that feel?
it just added on to the
night.
Yeah. I was just like grumpy afterwards. I was like, stupid race cars. I can't believe I like this is such a dumb hobby. And then not only that, and then it's so dumb to get pissed off about afterwards, and then I'm pissed at myself for being pissed off because at the end of the day, it has no effect on my life, and yet here we are.
Yeah, no, it creates those negative feedback loops, I guess it'd be in this case, where all of a sudden it can just put a dour mood on things. I've definitely experienced that. Team Money, I guess we don't want to talk too much about Tier 2 because we are going to save that for Thursday when we do something similar, but how did you feel at the start of the season for you?
In Tier 2?
Yeah.
I know in Tier 2 I was just more focused on trying not to fall too far behind Arrow at the beginning, since between him and Axton, because I mean that was really the main competition.
Yep.
But I ended up missing what was it? I think I ended up missing China and Monaco, and then that put me before I knew it, I was already 60, 70 points behind. And then, forget what else. Or did. No, I didn't. Well, those were the only 2 races I missed, but it was, I ended up finding myself, really far behind. Abu Dhabi. I ended up finishing 9th in that after my little incident on the 3rd last corner, yeah. But,
so I guess then, from an outside perspective, seeing as you weren't in T1 yet, I assume obviously being in the league, you keep up with all that information. What were you thinking after the first race? another Puff Championship, I'm sure.
I mean, I knew from last year. I mean, I figured you would be up there towards the front, you know, battling for the championship. But I know it was, you know, with the way it is now, you know, you got JFD right behind, and there's a few other people. You know, if they could string together a couple of races, that they could also be up there. But more so in the beginning, though. I mean, I just, like, you could just tell right away from the beginning that there was going to be a really good amount of competition, you know, because you just have so many people that are, you know, around the same pace.
Yep. For sure. Alright, well, I guess we don't want to spend too long on each race. A good little throwback to Britain. I guess we'll move on to Hungary. This one I actually missed, but I did get a chance to watch it. It was a hell of a race. I think RC might be having technical issues. I'm not too sure.
I'm back.
Okay, so
I should
RC
be back.
is back. At this point in time, Beck wasn't a full-time driver in our league. So you did pick up the win for this one. How did that feel? Or he was a reserve?
No, I didn't. He was reserve. He picked up the win.
Okay.
Yeah, I qualified far down. I think it was a B7 at the start, and Beck took pole. And yeah, he was on the softs as far as I can remember, because he always goes on the softs. But yeah, the strategy was working out for me. I was catching him, and I disconnected. So
I remember that you were taking a lot of time out of him.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity, and there's not a lot you can do about those things. But a P2 from 7th on the grid is not bad for Hungary, where it's quite difficult to pass anyway.
Yeah. So I guess another good result here, as I'm just going through, Arbiga, his own podium of the season, qualified 5th. We'll give him some airtime. Sir Harry Hotspur, too, qualified 2nd, finished 4th. I think that's his best result of the season. I don't recall him making a podium quite yet. And then we have JFD in 5th. So already he's starting to show kind of that consistency. His name's up there. And not quite the result I'm sure he's looking for, but 12th to 5th, so he's shown he can make up places. Doth, down in 10th again. 2 points after 2 races. How are you feeling?
I accepted that that wasn't my, you know, Hungary's just not a good track for me, but I was the victim of being spun. So I was facing backwards for a little while, just watching all the cars go by. You know, I probably, you know, stopped for a smoke break at that point as well. So no. But in all seriousness, I mean, I don't have pace at Hungary, so I was happy to even just walk away with the point, because like this is, you know, this league is brutal at this point. Sometimes if you screw up a turn and you're off by 0.3, and all of a sudden you could have qualified 2nd and you're in 8th, and you're like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell happened?
No room for error though, for real. It says you were one of the few guys to 2-stop actually, and you qualified 6th. So
I think I needed a wing.
Yeah, for the wing makes sense. Then we have Janet down in 9th as well, so only a couple points picked up by him. Obviously, you and Janet now extremely close, as well as RC. So you can see a bit of movement there. Ryan, great result, qualified 15th and finished 6th. And Fuzz, I don't see you on the top 14.
Yeah, I DNF'd that race. It was the first race I turned off ABS, like it was the first league race with no assists on. So I was very prone to errors, and I did end up making one where I locked up my race, spun out, and, you know, just I was having a pretty bad race right off the bat. I ended up crashing a little while after, so.
It is important to note, though, I mean, a lot of guys, I know RC last season turned off some assists. A lot of guys have been dropping them and trying to regain the pace they've had.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
so like
it's
I don't
easy
think...
to kind of
Yeah, I don't
Go
think
ahead.
I'm particularly like off the pace per se. Like I am maybe a tenth or two off my assist time, but I'm not that far off. It's just I end up making massive blunders in the middle of a race, which just puts me out of contention almost immediately. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
mostly
gonna take a
consistency
while.
at
Yeah,
the minute. It's consistency for us. Same as it was for me last year. When I turned off, what did I turn off last year? TC,
ABS.
ABS. So
So no,
it'll come back.
Yeah,
it
because
makes a difference.
yeah,
Yeah.
I remember all of last season pretty much. Like I was doing okay at the front, but RC was kind of struggling to score significant points. Like he would be in the points, but not challenge for top five as often. But like over the season, he got a lot better, and like towards the end, he started fighting for wins pretty much.
Yeah.
And like right off the start of this season, he started the season on the podium. So I feel like that progress it's just natural progression at this point, and like it's one step backwards, two step forward. So I'm sure it'll come eventually.
Yeah,
So
Well, and a big
it'll
thing.
be the same for Doth with
yeah,
his
no
turning the line off
line.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I mean, everyone says it. I guess it's, I don't know, is it a meme at this point? You make a meme out of it, but you are quicker. You do end up being quicker without the assists, right? So, um,
yep.
once you get that feel back for the car and start to get used to it, it'll come. But for this season, it's been a learning experience, I guess, for you, eh?
Yeah. Exactly. It's like it's basically relearning kind of how to drive, kind of how to brake, when to brake, and how much, and stuff like that. Like it's basically changing gear shifts again. So
Yeah.
it's relearning that muscle memory of how braking is in each corner. So it just like depends on a track by track basis. And like the good thing is we're going through each track, so I'm getting a decent amount of practice under my belt. So by next season, hopefully, I should be used to pretty much all the tracks on the circuit. Like it's more, it's not even about like memorizing how each track works. It's just more learning the technique so I can adapt anywhere basically. So
Yeah.
I think I should be competing again by like next season, if not this year at all.
Well, I'll be disappointed if you're not up there. It's more
Aw,
fun when
that's
we have more cars being
that's so
competitive.
sweet. That's the nicest thing you
And
ever said to me.
it's more rewarding to beat you when you're not DNFing.
Puff, you have to qualify that by saying that it's all good for us being up near the front as long as he doesn't do what he did in Britain.
Two
Just need to-
seasons ago,
just need to
for
put that
the
out
for
there.
those who aren't aware, what
Last
Buzz
season.
got pole position, eh?
Yeah,
I
last
guess
season.
yeah, last season Buzz got pole position. What was it? We didn't even
Puff
have
was
DRS
second,
yet, I think.
RC was third, I think.
I made a brilliant move around the outside. Buzz, with ABS on, couldn't figure out how to brake, ran into the side of me, took out his own teammate, and I think there's a race coming up eventually where something similar happens. So we will return to that theme shortly. We'll move on now to Italy, and Dosh, you won.
P1, Sebastian. P1.
P1
Winner
Yeah,
home.
in the Ferrari.
Yeah.
Tell us, how crazy
yeah.
was that? Those virtual fans.
Oh, it was fantastic, and so I got to thank Zyg for dragging me to that pole. So we had set up the tow a couple times. It had worked to some effect, but on my last lap or what that I took the pole because RC had taken it back from me. So I took it from, I was trying to take it back from RC, and we were coordinating without having planned it before. Zyga just finished a lap. We were coordinating the tow, and he actually picked me up off of Ascari, going down towards Parabolica, which ended up being clutch because I had absolutely cheesed the exit to Ascari. So RC was going to take pole, but Zyg just dragged me straight down the straight, and I got to take pole. And and then from there I just kind of managed on during the race. I qualified on the softs. I was faster than RC on the softs, but then we switched to mediums, and RC just had more pace than I did. And like he passed me, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to sit in a slipstream, and he kind of just kept pulling away. But fortunately, I kept it clean. I didn't get any penalties, and I think RC finished ahead of me on track, but second after penalties, so I could have my Leclerc moment.
Yeah, it was a penalty that sort of ruined your day there, RC. But I mean, you qualified third actually.
Yeah,
Does anyone
Fuzz
know who
pit me.
qualified second?
Yeah, Fuzz pit me.
Yeah, Buzz in second.
Yeah.
What happened in Italy?
I can't quite remember what happened in Italy, but I don't think I had the race pace. Like I said, this would be the second race where I didn't have ABS on, and I think I had major lockups in going into the second chicane. Pretty much each lap, like I would start losing the back end. I do remember having an incredible battle with Ryan through pretty much the entire race, like from start to finish. It's on stream as well. It looks pretty beautiful, us going into all those chicanes side by side. None of us like took damage from each other. Like it was pretty good, pretty respectful. I really enjoyed that, but I don't remember where I finished. I'm pretty sure I didn't score points, but I don't remember why. Oh yeah, I DNF'd. I binned it in a sky. That's right.
It
With 3 laps to
says
go.
You finished, but you finished in 15th.
Yeah, it's probably because I completed 90% of the race, and I
okay.
DNF'd.
Yeah.
I DNF'd right towards the end, and I'd gotten past Ryan, and I was trying to build a gap, and my car decided to snap. So that didn't end well again for me. Like a lot of my mistakes have been under traction, even though that's not something I'm relearning. It's just I still sometimes struggle to keep traction of the car. Like it's just something I make mistakes on over and over.
Yeah. And then RC in second, you were first across the line. When did you pick up your penalty?
I think it was in the last couple of laps. Yeah.
Did you know Doth
No,
didn't
yeah.
have any?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was just trying to make the gap big enough so he could get the win. And yeah, I think it was something like half a second. He beat me by in the end. So yeah, you live and learn.
At that point, though, in the season, the standings get really close. I actually had a good one. I can't remember what happened to me in qualifying, but I qualified 14th. I must have ran the reverse strategy, and I ended up on the podium in third. I actually can't remember much of anything.
You did run the reverse strategy. I remember you getting past me and Ryan pretty quickly because we were both on worn mediums. It was towards the end of the race with like just a few laps to go, and I think we were running third and fourth. Like we were battling for that final podium place until you smashed past us on like fresher, softer tires, and
then Janet must have done the same because he was 11th and he finished 4th.
Yeah, I would imagine
both
so.
of us qualified on the mediums, and weren't separated by much at all. A couple of seconds, I think. And Ryan was pushed as well.
And Ryan as well. He's been awfully consistent this year. Seems to score points almost every race. He finished 5th. Before his massive downfall. He's in 6th here, so he's actually scored really solid points through the first 4 races. Or 3 races, I guess this would be. And then Stig picks up his first points in 8th. And JFD in 9th. So, not a good result for him. He's fallen further behind. And at this point, yeah, I'm not too concerned about him. T-Money, we haven't heard from you for a bit. What are you thinking? What are you thinking when you're watching T1 here?
Some of those early on races?
Yeah, if you can remember any of them.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to remember, but oh man, like there were definitely some good battles, and just some, you guys were mentioning some unfortunate penalties and other things that kind of happened that may have resulted in, that did result in some drivers not really probably getting the amount of points that they should have, and I mean some of that stuff, it's just interesting to kind of see how that all played out, especially now since since you have some of these gaps like before, is it Janet and RC, separated by like 1 point, and You know, you
Yeah.
think like, early on, if so and so may have finished like 3 places higher, where they might be right now instead of only being separated by a couple of points. But yeah, that stuff was it was definitely interesting to watch.
Well, I mean, to build off of your point there, if RC doesn't pick up that 3-second penalty, him and Doth, I think, literally swap positions in the standings right now. I think RC is about 7 points behind.
Yeah,
her,
7 points each way.
So
Nope.
Yeah.
there's a good example of that. Just for those
Or if
little
he doesn't,
things.
Yeah.
or if he doesn't get dropped out of the lobby in Hungary, and
Yeah.
maybe he takes the win from or did he get credit for the win? Or
No,
did
don't make me cry.
No, Beck was a full reserve then.
yeah,
So he was scoring his points.
yeah.
Yeah, 2 wins you could have had, but
Big collision.
I'm not even watching the race. I forgot it was going on, but it looks like
Aero and
Ryan's
electric. Big collision.
gonna pick up the win on the last lap.
Yeah. But no, yeah,
Ryan
just
and his
the little
streak of
things.
Ryan and his streak of meaningless podiums.
Yeah, he really seems to kind of finish 5th or 6th in T1, and then when he goes to T2, he scores podiums. When he's in the EU race, he's scoring podiums. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
mean that just shows the quality in T1 compared to T2. You knew I was gonna go there as soon as you said
yeah, I knew it. It was a wob.
it. Update from
So-
JFD about Italy. He said he disconnected in Italy, came back to an unexpected pit stop and a 5-second speeding penalty in the pits, and cost a lot.
Okay.
Looking back at it now.
Speeding
So, I
in
mean,
pits
again,
always
just-
gets you.
One of those things where throughout the season, every small mistake it all builds, right? I mean, one bad result and what is it, the gap between me and JFD? 15 points, maybe that's 10, or maybe it's 5 that he scored a better result in Italy. But we'll move on. We might be going a little slow here as the first race has ended. Next is Monaco. Do we even have to talk about it? Did anyone have a good time?
No.
Briefly,
Don't even get me started.
this was Camden Luca's first race with us. He's now a full-time driver in the Mercedes car. He showed up and he won. So, put the league on notice. That's a bit of a trend, eh? New guys showing up and winning, right, Team Money?
Yeah.
So, I don't even want to talk about my race. I scored 1 point, the only point I've ever scored in Monaco in 3 seasons. So I guess I finished. That was an improvement.
one thing I do remember about that is we had a really late safety car.
Yeah,
And I
really
was an
late.
idiot and pitted.
Yeah, I pit much earlier. My wing was busted, and I, after the fact, realized I should have just stayed out and held cars up because that seemed to work for most everyone. But next
Except
year,
me.
the strategy. Yeah, Doth, yours was heartbreaking.
Oh, I got
Late
done dirty.
safety car. You were on for the win. You qualified on pole. I don't want to
Yeah.
say you're Mr. Monaco, but you do seem to be the most consistent in T1 at Monaco. Do you want to relive it? Do you want to walk us through it?
Sure. So I took pole. I was a little worried with Beck because Beck put down a really nice lap on the mediums. So I only got pole over him on the softs by a tenth. But I was able to manage the race, and I think he picked up some damage. So I was able to manage. Camden was in second, and Zeig just kind of had a consistent performance and found himself in third. RC had some damage in fourth, and so with like 5 or 6 laps to go, I was just chilling. I didn't have any penalties or anything, so I was just, if you keep it consistent, you'll win the race. So I was like, okay, whatever, let's go, let's get this done and whatever. And then all of a sudden, I'm coming by the pits on lap 35, and there's a safety car. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, of 39. So, we catch up to the safety car. Camden serves a penalty and pits, and then comes out like behind Zeig. But he's on now fresh softs, and I'm on these chewed mediums, and Zeig's on these chewed hards because he pit like 34 laps ago because he had wing damage. And he just basically runs right past both of us. And after that happened, I changed my my picture in the Discord to Vettel changing the signs at Montreal from last year, because like, man, I know how he felt. Like,
Yeah.
I got burned.
I will say though, double Ferrari podium. I do believe you're the only team this season, the only constructor to double podium so far.
There you go. The bromance lives on.
There you go. So I mean, you do have that going for you.
I mean, are we just
gruesome
counting
car.
the top 3 teams?
Well,
No, I think-
last race we had a double podium.
For
We
who?
did.
Oh yeah, for
Alpha.
both. I just forgot. Well, it was new. It was briefly. We were getting there. All right. Only double podium to this point until we get to
Yeah.
Mexico.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Give me that.
Thanks, guys. So Gruesome also returned from his 2-race hiatus into 4th. He's kind of made a reputation for himself as being extremely consistent. So good showing from him. GFD in 5th again. I think he's finished 5th now, 3 of the first 4 races. Just steadily building that points total. Ryan in 6th again. I don't know how. Always seems to be there. And then aside from that, I think we have Scavney, who's now a full-time T2 driver. I don't know if this was his first race in ZOR or just his first race with T1, but he was in 7th at Monaco, which is a great showing for him. Also of note, he races without the line, so no line at Monaco, and he outdid a bunch of us, so kudos to him. And then Fuzz, you're down in 12th. Honestly, can't really blame you for this one. Monaco
Nope.
sucks, but do you remember anything?
I remember going through about 7 wings. I may have caused a couple safety cars, I don't even know. Yeah, it was terrible. It was one to forget. I remember turning on my ABS, like turning my ABS back on for this one because I did not do any practice because I hate Monaco. And
Yep.
I was just not enjoying like racing there at all. I just wanted the 39 laps to be over as quickly as possible. So yeah, I just broke a few wings, somehow ended up 12th. I didn't DNF. I think I just kept going, but yeah, didn't score points
Yeah, no.
naturally. I wasn't expecting to be honest. So
Yeah, I wasn't either. I was thrilled with 1 point. Monaco, I just kind of write off as 0, but yeah, get rid of that one, throw it out. No one cares. It didn't happen.
yeah,
Moving on to China, I think everyone knows this is a track I really look forward to. One of my favorite tracks of the season.
Don't know why.
One I'm particularly strong at.
We're in agreement, Team Money.
Most people don't seem to like it. I have no idea why. It's got a bit of everything, but we'll go through. This one is a bit annoying for me to relive, but we'll start with me. I qualified 4th on the medium tire. I think all 3 cars ahead of me were on the soft. Turn 1 incident, I'd classified as a racing incident. Made a bit of contact with Saig. Then I got hit from behind, spun out, and the safety car comes out. I think this was the first race with the updated safety car, or was that Monaco?
That would be Monaco, Puff.
Monaco was the updated one? Well, Monaco,
Yeah.
you don't know if it's just like, it could always happen, right? But they did release the patch, which drastically increased safety car. Can't think of the word, but
Safety car frequency.
frequency. Yes, thank you guys. And we saw it, lap 1. And I think, I don't know, was everyone excited? Did everyone still like it at that point? I feel now the tide has kind of turned and everyone doesn't like the safety car. I know I don't, but
I think sometimes the safety car comes out a little too often during the race, but
yeah.
if you think about it too, I mean, if this was real, like real life, I mean, if someone's parked on the side of the track, I mean, chances are in real life they'd have a safety car come out, so, it's just something that you have to live with, and it, but because of how often the safety car can come out, it dramatically, affects strategies during those races.
Yeah.
Which makes things a bit more interesting for some people, not for others. Sorry, Bob.
I think for me in this one, even though I was somewhat to blame for the safety car and I would have rather not been hit, it did end up saving me. I was able to catch up back to the pack. I still stuck with my original strategy of, well, I went onto the hards, but I'd always planned to finish the race on the softs. So I did. I came back out on the softs. I was charging through. I actually ended up getting past JFD on track, and then I blew it on the last lap. I believe Jinnit was first across the line. He had a penalty, dropped him to 4th. Camden was promoted to the win, and then Camden received a penalty because... What did we change? It was a safety car rule, I believe, related to...
He got throttled
No, he
on
didn't
the safety car restart, and then everybody else there was a couple collisions.
Yeah. So, he actually drops down, and so JFD picks up his first win with ZOR at China. I'm still bitter. I think I was the fastest man on track. It doesn't matter. I come home in second, and I think this is kind of where we begin to see the tide turn a bit for JFD. He starts to obviously assert himself as a real championship contender. Like I said, Jinnit in 4th. He had great pace throughout the race and had a penalty that dropped him down. Doth, I think you ran the most insane strategy I can remember. One point. Surprised you were up there, expecting you to pit and just kind of move, like get out of my way at some point, and then no, you were still there. You got to be pretty happy with 5th, though. I know you don't like China.
Yeah, you know, for a track where I don't have a ton of pace, I was just happy to still take home a decent haul of points. So if that's the worst you do all season, then it's a good season.
Yeah. RC, you're in 7th. I think you had a couple issues as well.
I did. I qualified 9th. It's not a great track for me, but I think it was with yourself. We were at the back of the grid at one point.
Yeah.
After lap one, I think you spun in
Well, I spun again. Yeah, I forgot about that. I can't remember. There was contact, and I know for a fact that one wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
I think it was just another racing incident. But yeah, I had good pace. I was up there again, and yeah, fell back down the order.
I did get fastest lap.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
What are you?
Pretty sure I pitted late and went for a run on it.
Yeah.
Idiot pitted under the safety car with 5 laps to go. Lost like 5 places.
Yeah.
We have Beck in 6th, so another consistent performance from him. Ryan in 9th. I think at this point he's scored points in every single race. I can't recall who else has done that, but that's impressive from him. Zamagos in 8th, picks up a couple. Harry in 10th, so Racing Point, gets a good haul of points out of this race. Yeah, Racing Point and Toro Rosso, the only constructors to have double points finishes. Not much else noticeable, nothing really stands out, but I do remember a bit of beef between Fuzz and Arbiga. If you want to give us your perspective on that, Fuzz.
Sorry, what track is this?
This is China.
China. Yeah. I was attempting to make a pass on Gruesome Car. I think we were side by side going into turn 1. And out of absolutely nowhere, this torpedo of a Red Bull shows up, slams into my inside and breaks my wing. Out of nowhere. Like, he was nowhere close. The move was never on. And he claims that I was sideways, but, the facts are debatable at best. So, it's just some people just can't stand it, when someone else is better than them, so.
No, I get that. And
Fuzz,
He's
did
not
you
here
say
to
dirty
defend
Red
himself.
Bulls?
Dirty
What was that?
Red Bulls, honestly.
Yeah, dirty Red Bulls.
China was definitely not our finest hour. I'll say that. We left some Red Bull paint on a few cars. We'll move to Japan. Much better result for me. I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I out-qualified you guys by, what, 5, 6 tenths, I think?
7.
7 tenths.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hooked it up, felt great. I love Japan as well. Back in second. For me, not much to say, honestly. I do really like the track. I managed to get away early. I had a good start, and from there just tried to control the pace. And then back in JFD behind me, the two of them were scrapping it out. I think it was back in JFD for quite a while. They were fighting.
Yeah.
And then Beck, a great podium finish, finishes in second. Was he in second? Hold on, I'm in the wrong results. JFD was in second, Beck managed third. And then Harry Hotspur again in fourth. So, again, like I said, JFD, his best stretch of the season, this starting in China through, I guess it would be Abu Dhabi, 2 wins. We'll get to Abu Dhabi in a sec, but 2 wins in the second place. Very strong showing. Beck in third. Doth in sixth. What happened to you?
So unfortunately, my qualifying was ended before it even started. I never got a lap in, so I ended up starting 19th and actually finished 4th on track. And so, I was bummed that it kind of, the qualifying just kind of took a straight fight away from you and I, because even though we've traded off wins and whatnot, we're never, for some reason, we're never actually next to each other on the freaking track. Something I've noticed. So, I think I would have had pace to challenge you there, and the only reason why I finished 6th was that I got, I didn't have a single warning all race, just a straight 5 in that chicane for going like half a wheel over the line, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's an issue, honestly, though, that we've had trouble navigating, I think, as a league and a stewarding team. We've made the decision to allow the game to hand out those penalties, but it was something, I think, for us where, we weren't sure what to do. It's unfortunate, obviously, when it happens to you, but
I think it's the right decision, though, from a league perspective. I mean, as a competitor, I didn't like it, but from a league perspective, at the end of the day, I did go all 4 wheels off the track. And if the game thought that it was a 5-second penalty, we have the power to overturn them and whatnot, but it's not like I was forced off the track. That was an error. So I made a mistake. That's it.
Yeah.
I think that the frustrations there with the game as it is in real life Formula 1, where in some corners it's strict on the track limits, and in other corners it's clearly not.
Yeah, you get away with it.
Yep.
Alright,
Exactly.
I think this is the race we were returning to. Shades of Britain last season. Buzz and RC. What happened? Talk us through it. Give us the lowdown on what happened in the party.
It's I think it's simple. I think Fuzz took me out.
Important to note, I guess, before we get into this, Fuzz, you scored points.
I hadn't scored points up until this point in the season. This was race 5, 6. I don't remember. Yeah, I hadn't scored points up until Japan. So this was the first time I actually went ahead and practiced before the race, practiced the 50% race distance to make sure, figure out how worn tires behave, where I can go off, stuff like that. So I get my mistakes out of the way early on. And I'm feeling strong in the sense that, okay, I know I'm probably not going to win because I don't have the pace to do that, but I probably have the pace to at least challenge for the podium, and I think I did. Up until a certain point, I qualified like 3rd or 4th. Off the line. Off the line, I was right behind Beck, I think, going into turn 1, and then the turn came in. I turned slightly right. Like I could have gone deeper. To be honest, like I made a mistake there. I could have gone straight. I could have turned in maybe a millisecond later, and RC would have been fine. But yeah, he was up my inside, hit his front left, hit my side pod, and he went sideways. Didn't do me any damage, but yeah, obviously my teammate was out of contention instantly. Um, yeah, it's never a good sight. I was extremely apologetic for the next 28 laps. He was extremely passive aggressive for the next 28 laps. But you know, I knew that he'd be okay. Like it's just a race. He's gonna be fine after he's pissed now because
Yeah.
emotions run high when we're actually racing. But once he's had a chance to calm down, once he's looking back at it, I know he's gonna know that I'm an absolute dick. But yeah, it was fine after the race. I was like obviously I apologized right away and throughout the race because I kept checking in on him. I think I was running fourth for most of the time. JFT was in front of me, and I knew I didn't have the pace to catch him, so I was in pretty much a vacuum because the guys behind me were just a touch slower. So I pretty much had fourth place down until there was a VSC, and it literally took one frame of me going below my delta to get a drive-through penalty, which screwed that up as well. I served my drive-through, ended up 8th, and finally picked up 4 points. This is the first 4 points of the season, and yeah, that was that. But then RC I think didn't end up picking up points, and that was entirely on me.
RC. If you look at the gap between Harry and Fuzz, it's 7 seconds or something. So Fuzz gets the drive-through, and it screws him.
Yeah, I was easily running. I think fourth. I comfortably had fourth down, and I wasn't even pushing for third place because the gap was like 4 or 5 seconds, and I knew I wasn't gonna make that up with the remaining laps. I just wanted to make sure bring the car home. Like at that point, I'm not fighting for a win. At that point, I just the mindset is just that okay, I just need to bring home some points somehow because it's been unacceptable that I haven't scored a single point so far in the season. So it doesn't matter where I finish as long as I get a decent result, and then that just screws me over a little bit, and it's annoying, but I'm still not complaining. I still finish in the points, so that's fine. And at least in my mind now, I know that okay, I have the pace, and I'm finally starting to get the consistency that I need. So coming away from that race, there were positives to take from that race and mistakes to put behind us. But yeah, it was a good learning experience, I would say. That one.
Would you describe it as a learning experience?
It taught me something anyway, just to stick your nose up the inside of Fuzz.
Well, I think at this point in the season too, though, it's really close in the standings. I don't think there's a big gap. I can't remember after China. I think it was the top 4: me, you, JFD, and Doth. It was a couple of points, 1 or 2 points. It was insane. So
yeah,
it's tough. Obviously, we're not going to pile on here at the moment. At the time, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. But yeah, it's unfortunate. T-Money, it's been a while. What are you thinking when you're seeing this? What did you think when you saw RC and Fuzz crash?
I'm pretty sure I wasn't able to. I don't think I watched the Japan race. So I wasn't really I really wouldn't be able to say, but I know
you must have enjoyed it from an outside perspective, though, right?
I actually have a question for T-Money directly here.
Okay.
When did you make the decision to jump to T1, and what were the kind of factors behind it?
Well, I mean, I did it. I mean, I guess it kind of worked out because my plan was ultimately, I guess, for sure next season to join Tier 1. But then when the seat opened up, which happened to be after Abu Dhabi, which had nothing to do with me leaving.
If you
I
say so.
mean, it's the little
The
the
tabloids have
contact
said
that
otherwise.
yes, tabloids, the puff tabloids say otherwise. I am in shambles. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was planning on joining Tier 1 anyway, and I figured that, since the seat opened up, why not do it now? And, because of that, like I said, it just all kind of worked out. I was able to get a seat, and, that was, that was pretty much like the biggest reason why. I mean, there's not any, like, obviously it's not that I didn't enjoy driving in Tier 2. I felt like there was still good competition in Tier 2, and, I still had a lot of fun, but, like I said,
no,
it
it's
just
just
kind of, it helped that the seat opened up, when it did, because, like
I
I
was
said,
just curious. I had never asked you, so I was like,
yeah,
might as well.
I think, or, I think it was after, or when Puff made the announcement, I know someone asked me, I think, in like one of the post-race interviews for like Tier 2, and I just kind of, yeah.
I probably did. I like a bit of drama.
Everybody likes some drama.
Yeah. So we didn't mention this earlier, but JFD has joined us in the party at the moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, JFD, Mr.
Hi,
Joshua.
guys.
So
I
yeah,
didn't
question
even
for
see the
you.
notification. I've been staring at my phone. Welcome. I feel as the host, I've slacked there, but yes,
we
welcome.
we didn't mean to overlook that, but I thought I'll point out since there's like I just had an opportunity to mention that.
This is perfect timing too. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Fuzz.
Yeah, so I had a question for JFD. So obviously he is now second in the championship, just 15 points behind the leader. So naturally that can change. That like it would literally take one race for that to change. For now, like there's serious contention for the title. At what point in the season, considering that you didn't have strong finishes, I would say, like, okay, top 5 finishes are strong finishes, but not quite, title challenge strong finishes. At what point in the season did you start considering yourself a title challenger?
I'd definitely say after the Abu Dhabi race. So it's I looked at the calendar when it came out, being a random schedule.
Yeah.
I liked Britain first, and I kind of disappointed myself with a 5th place finish there. I thought I could have done better and had an incident early that set me back, but still brought home 5th. And the next 3 races weren't very strong tracks for me, so I figured if I could just get through with some decent results and a 5th, 9th, and I think 5th for Hungary, Italy, and Monaco, that's kind of right up where I was looking for. And I had kind of circled that China, Japan, Abu Dhabi stretch as tracks that are more suited to my racing style. And as you discussed with China a 1st place, Japan a 2nd place, doing exactly what I needed to do to put myself in a position for the points championship.
And that's actually a perfect segue as we head into our Abu Dhabi review. Actually, there's no race results here.
Nope.
So,
Probably
I
had to
can't
do with
remember.
some of the numerous safety cars.
Yeah, it was a disaster overall, I think, for Tier 1. Not necessarily the type of racing we like to showcase. It was tough, some incidents. We've moved past it. But JFD, amongst all that chaos, again, fantastic result, and your 2nd win of the season. You want to talk us through that one?
Yep, I think I nailed the strategy dead on this one is what got me the victory. So as there was a 2nd lap safety car that had come out, and I was in 4th place. I think I qualified 3rd. So right there on the soft tire, and the top 3 stayed out in the softs. I had 2 sets of mediums, so my thought strategy here was to make it a one-stop race from there, and I dove in for the mediums. And I came out, I think, in 11th place once the restart got done. And as everybody started to cycle through the pit stops, that got me in clean air towards the end of my first stint. I think I pitted on lap 16 for a fresh set of mediums, and I think I came out right in between Zieg and Doth, who like in 6th and 7th. I think Doth was on mediums, older mediums. Zieg was on older hards, and with my fresh mediums at Abu Dhabi, was able to fly through the field. And then I think I had just gotten by Puff towards the end of the race, lap 20, 21, something like that, and another safety car come out. And if I hadn't gotten by him, because we both pitted for softs after that, that was, I think, the difference. I got by him just as that last safety car came out. And then I think it was a 4-lap sprint to the finish, and I was able to hold Puff off and get the victory there.
Yeah. Well, I remember this one quite vividly. I had a terrible start, caught up in an incident on lap 1. The safety car came out, saved me somewhat. I pit onto the hards, I believe it was, and I had every intention of taking those to the end. I remember you absolutely flying past me on your mediums, and at that point I was content with second. Abu Dhabi's not a track I particularly enjoy, so I was fine with that. And then the safety car came out, we both pit onto softs, and I thought, here's my chance, I'll have a good run. Hopefully I can maybe catch him off the restart. If not, just bide my time and try and get him when the opportunity arises. And absolutely just flew away, blew me out of the water. And I settled for third, or second rather. But amongst that, RC, we had a bit of an incident. It was taken to the stewards, determined to be a racing incident. I felt awful. How were you feeling in the moment?
I couldn't believe it. I thought it was past you, and you clipped my rear left and sent me to the left. I was lucky that there wasn't barriers closer, or it'd have been my race over. But I didn't lose that much on it because the safety car was out, so I was thinking of rejoining in 4th behind you. But yeah. I really didn't expect it, and I was cursing you in the party.
Yeah. I can attest to the fact that RC was really, really angry.
I honestly, I really didn't see you there. I do feel bad. My audio's out there somewhere. I was focused on Zenith. I had no idea you had pulled into that slot right beside me, and I was half expecting to lose that place.
Yeah, it was a really fortunate one that I was able to keep going.
The incident was deemed a racing incident, but Puff was labeled a desperate little bitch right after.
we did get that out of it, yes.
I think Zenith has since disabled his party audio, so
he'll no longer be caught when he calls me out. There's not much else to go off without the race results. I have
allow me.
Go for it, Don. Let's hear it.
Allow me. So we're gonna have a run. We're gonna have a running count now of how many times I've been fucked by the safety car. This was number 2. I qualified on pole.
Did you?
First? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I was leading the race in the first safety car. Okay, fine. So Zenith had passed me, so I was like, okay, I'll run around second for a little bit, whatever. And then I was gonna stretch tires afterwards, and so we're getting closer to the end of the race with the next safety car, and I had just someone had boxed in front of me, and so I was on 7 or 8 lap fresher tires than you were, Puff, and I was 4 seconds behind you with 6 laps to go or whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm in third, he's in second, I have a shot at getting him. So I turned up the wick, and then there's a freaking safety car. So I'm like, okay, I'll pit with everybody else. And the difference between you and me, those 3-4 seconds, made all the difference in the world, because I ended up coming out behind a little bit of traffic that I had to pass, and I kind of got bounced around by in that last lap, disgusting sector 3, and I got dropped all the way to 9th. from
I do
from
remember
third.
that. Yeah.
So it
now
could
that
have
you
been a
mention it.
second. I wasn't going to catch JFD because when he came out and passed me, he just kind of gave me a nod as he went by, and I was like, okay, we're running two different races here.
Okay, I have Gruesome Car listed as a potential driver of the day, 13th to 6th. So again, just that consistency, like I was saying earlier, that he's been known for. Again, showing it. And I have Ali. Maybe his first points of the season, moves into 9th once we took the reserves out of classification after starting 17th. So a good showing from him. He's come back, and he's actually come back a lot quicker. Sorry to some of the guys who haven't been scoring points. We haven't necessarily given you a lot of airtime, but shout out to Ali, who I think a few of us, especially in the admin at least, have noticed very good pace. I know obviously it's tough being in the West Coast to make all the races, but yeah, solid pace. And
Happy to have him back.
Yeah.
That race, Sam picked up his
Sam,
first
yeah.
points as well. He finished 7th.
Sam
that
did
race.
as well?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, no race results here, but yeah, so a good showing from some guys to get on the board. And I guess not much else to say. Fuzz, do you remember,
Yeah.
did you and Biga crash again this one?
Yes. We did.
I thought I remembered
did.
that.
So second or third, like the final safety car restart, I think I had cold tires. I locked up massively in the first turn and basically lost the back end on the exit, and Bigger unfortunately got collected because of that. Entirely not his fault. Like, we didn't make contact before that. He just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I sent him into the wall basically. I DNF'd because of that, and Bigger's race basically just ended. I think he would have scored a decent amount of points. If not for that, he would have scored at least, he would have been 8th or 9th at the minimum. Because I think myself and the person in front of me, I think it was Zyg, had penalties. But yeah, it didn't work out that way, unfortunately. Yeah, Bigger didn't score points, I think, but gave Prince Ali, Sam, Zyg points in that race, at least.
He was starting to go through a crisis at this point. Bad results in China, Japan, and now Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
I think I can speak for him. He was getting a little frustrated. It's tough, especially sometimes when you know you have the pace and you're not getting the results. We'll move on, though. We are coming to the end of the second F2 race here. So only 2-3 races left. We'll kind of go through them briefly, and then have some closing remarks. So Spain next. Doth, another pole position, second in a row. We had Axton join us from Tier 2 as a reserve, qualified second, and then I qualified third, but I qualified on the medium tire. So Spain, it chews through tires. I think we all know that. The preferred strategy, at least in my opinion, is the medium to hard. Doth, what were you thinking on the softs?
So what I was thinking was that I didn't think my absolute pace here was as strong as some of the other people in the league, so I was hoping that I could maybe steal a pole or front row while everybody else was qualifying on mediums, and then I was going to try to take advantage of the clean air and try to run away. And if I could run and build up a 4 or 5 second lead before I pit, then, after that anything can happen. But then I got done dirty by the safety car, and
this brings our count to 3, correct?
Yeah.
So we had a friendly discussion about whether or not the 1-stop or the 2-stop would be quicker here without the safety car. In all honesty, do you think you would have won this race without the safety car?
No, I don't. I think that the 1-stop would have been faster. But I had to try something differently, because if I'm on the same strategy as everybody else and slower than everybody else, then I'm not going to win.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
If I could maybe, the people who went medium hard maybe might have gotten kind of just a different flow of traffic than I did, and that maybe could have been the difference, where if in absolutes I might have been 5/10 faster on the softs, maybe with the way traffic punched out, maybe I could have had a couple laps where I was a second and a half faster, and then we're in a very different conversation.
Yeah. So my perspective, this was my third race win of the season, I believe. And I think it was a late safety car. I had pit for softs, Jinnit had pit for softs, and Camden had stayed out on the tires he was on. It was a bit of a mad dash towards the end. Jinnit got really close at one point, tried to make a move. I was able to defend and then able to get past Camden. Jinnit eventually got past Camden as well. So the podium was me, Jinnit, and Camden Luca. RC, though, in fourth. A good result. How are you feeling about that?
I don't remember this race at all.
I honestly can't remember it either. I don't know. Spain, it's boring in real life. I feel league racing, it's tough.
Yeah, it looks like they qualified on the medium tires and quite low down the grid, like lower than 10th. So to get a 5th place from 10th is, or from lower than 10th is a good result, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think penalties cost me again, but only by, I think JFD get by me. But I think that's all I lost from it. So yeah, good recovery, I think.
JFD, you were in 5th and followed closely by Harry, 5th and 6th for Racing Point. So another great team result. I think you guys actually took over the constructors' lead at this point, or were very close. How were you feeling after the race?
If you would have given me 5th or 4th or whatever I finished in Spain, I would have taken that in a heartbeat. That was just, that is not a strong track for me at all, much like Italy and Monaco. So taking another top 5 on a track I'm not spectacular at, that's what helps you in the championship, in my opinion.
For sure, and I mean, honestly, that's kind of been your MO for this season. Consistency over the entire season. 5th place seems to have your name written on it when you're not scoring podiums, and it adds up. 5th place throughout the season.
That's what I shoot for, because that's the last double-digit point paying position. 6th place is 8 points, so I try and get top 5s to get those double-digit points.
I think that I got a penalty post-race by the stewards for hitting Ryan on the back on their safety car.
Oh, so I got even better.
Yeah, I'm just going off the results. I don't have the penalties or anything, so some of these could be off, actually, I guess, I'm realizing now. Fuzz, did you score points here? I'm seeing GP Colin and Axon ahead of you. So
I did. I finished 10th. I scored 1 point, but I kind of had a disaster of a race as well. I think I started off well. I qualified, I think I was the second or third quickest on the mediums in the top 10. I had a decent start to the race. After the first safety car, I think I was splitting the Force Indias at 1 point, and I think I had the pace to get both of them, but I think this was like 4th or 5th place. But then the second safety car happened, and I decided to pit. And hindsight, that was the wrong decision. I was on hard tires, which would have gone to the end of the race. So I had no reason to pit, but doing that, I knew everyone else was going to, and they were going to be on quicker tires than me. So I just decided to equalize that. But yeah, like I said, in hindsight, that was a bad decision. I ended up losing 4 places and never making them back up. I just started dropping. I made a mistake again in turn 1 and 2, right towards the end of the race, and ended up losing a couple places then as well, and ended up 10th. I do remember though that like the run up to the line was. A couple of people right in front of me had crashed. I think Beck and someone else it was that went really slowly, and I tried going down the inside, but there was just not enough space, and I went sideways and ended up losing a couple of spots there as well to I think it was Doth and Ryan, but I can't remember for sure. So I think Doth beat me to the line. It was a photo finish. I think there was like a tenth between us. And yeah, that was my race, and it was basically a disaster. I could have had a third, fourth, or fifth place finish, but I ended up 10th. Just I ended up, I think, 12th on track, but the reserves got taken out and I got bumped up to 10th.
Yeah. So the F2 race is done. We'll try to wrap this up as quickly as possible now.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about Spa. We can skip.
Yeah,
skip
I
over,
agree.
skip
We
right
don't
over that.
really need to talk about Spa. But we'll do it anyways for the sake of Doff. He's taken the mantle of the King of Spa, got the win. How do you feel?
I was literally, one of my buddy came over to watch the race, so he was trolling me during the whole race, which was fantastic. But afterwards, I was soaking wet, sweating, and literally laid on the floor of my apartment. So, because I had been done dirty by the safety car, the last second safety car, and Jin had actually passed me on track. The only reason why I won the race was because I didn't have any penalties. And Beck and I had a photo finish across the line, like a 10.16 second, something like that.
169.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that was for the win, because Jinnit dropped to third with only a 3-second penalty.
Yeah. So, I have just the driver of the day noms to go off of here. I know I had an absolute disastrous race. I never really liked Spa. I feel like that's somewhat sacrilegious to say, as it's kind of, I love watching it live. I
Ryan
love the
got another
track
P4.
in theory. Yeah, Ryan, P4. Bigga, great result for him, finished 5th. Beck, again, in 2nd, so strong showing from him. Not sure what else happened, JFD. Do you remember where you finished?
Yeah, I finished 7th. As much as I nailed the strategy in Abu Dhabi, I pulled the Ferrari strategy on this one, and I made a late pit stop when I probably should have stayed out. I was right behind Ryan before the pit stop, and he finished 4th. If I would have stayed out, I'd probably finished 5th. Instead of with the pit stop, I cost myself a couple positions down to 7th. So but that's,
I remember.
that's
Yeah.
probably the hard part of the game. You got to drive and then strategy, and it's and those split-second decisions that you make. That can be all the difference sometimes.
Well, for me too, I was obviously disappointed with my race, but at least to see at the end that you had only finished 7th was somewhat of a relief for me, because at this point, me and you, we've pulled out a bit of a gap. We're the top 2 contenders, and so I got dropped down the order because I had just a massive amount of penalties.
Yep,
disastrous race.
6 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, the safety car erased any gaps I had, and it drastically dropped me down the order. Buzz, I know you DNF'd. We can skip past that.
Yeah.
We'll get to Mexico. Final race of the first half of the season. T-Money's debut. Sorry I haven't integrated you as much as I can. Talk as much as you want about your win. How did it feel? You're here. You made a statement. Let us know.
Well, no worries about before. I mean, it's kind of hard to talk when I haven't really been in any of those races. But anyway, at Mexico, I mean, it was just I was really happy to get the first win in my first race, and it it pretty much just came down to the strategy at the end. I mean, I really didn't make any mistakes during the race that would have cost me, and being I think I was 17 seconds ahead of you when you came out of the pits, when you put on the softs at the end, and then you combine that with the fact that you already had 6 seconds in penalties, and it was just kind of, I don't want to say coasting, because I mean I still had put in some decent laps, but it took off a lot of the pressure knowing that I had that much of a gap. But
yeah, well, I guess my next question, do you consider Mexico to be a strong track for you?
I mean, I like the track in general. I mean, it's not one of my, it's not one of my favorites. Because for me, I'm probably by myself on this one, but I really do enjoy Spain. That is one of my favorite tracks to run. Followed by, well, you got Spain, I know Baku, and God, now I'm drawing a blank on the other one. But anywho, yeah. So like I said, it's not one of my favorite tracks, but I think because of the strategy that I've been able to run, even last season in Tier 2, which was enough to get me the win there as well, and then obviously this last Monday. I think if it would come down to like if we would have had a pit, if we would have had a safety car and I would have had to come in, it probably would have been a lot different because, you were like coming out when I came out of the pits after my first stint, you were able to build up almost like a 5 second gap between me and you. So like I said,
Yeah.
I do think that if there would have been a safety car or something where we would have got bunched up, that I probably wouldn't have won. But, with that strategy, trying to do the one stop, that's just kind of like that was the gamble that I took because I was just, praying that we wouldn't have got a safety car at all. So.
Well, it was our first since the patch without a safety car, I believe, at least in T1.
Yeah, it was.
No issues.
There was the spin out, or I mean, I don't want to say spin out exactly, but that I think it was on like lap 32 with Jinnit when he
and back, yeah.
when he ended up because he ended up retiring, and I was at that point when I saw that I was like, oh, please don't come out with a safety car, like.
Yeah. Well, I was actually saying the same thing. It got to a point where I realized I wasn't going to win. I did obviously go for the two-stop. Once I got my penalties, I knew you had me regardless, so I was just more concerned with creating a gap behind me. Beck also, before the incident with Jinnit, he had spun a little bit and basically gifted me that position, because I think actually both you guys had pace on me, at least in the first stint. So,
Yeah,
and I was saying, yeah.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I was saying before the race, Tobiga had, if anyone could win that wasn't me, I was hoping it was you, because you being new, obviously, you're not up there yet in the title fight. So,
Yeah.
I was pretty thrilled with second. Mexico is really a track I don't enjoy. I'm bad at keeping it within track limits there. So second was fine with me. JFD, I think he finished 5th or 4th?
He finished.
I ended up getting
P4.
fourth on that. Yep.
Because you ran the one stop too, but you ran it in reverse, right?
Yep. I had a poor qualifying. I was up about 6/10 on my last qualifying lap, and I exceeded the limits, and it didn't count. So I started back in, I think, 15th. And I thought Harry was absolutely crazy for telling me to do the one stop, but that's he kept egging me on and encouraging me on that, and I pulled it off pretty well. I was very happy with that result based on where I started.
Yeah, guys, I was really surprised that you got away with running one stop, soft to medium or medium to soft. And after the race on Monday, I ran that strategy on Sunday, in EU, and it did work.
Yeah, the tires definitely get to be a challenge. I don't run traction control or ABS or anything like that, so you really got to make sure you're not getting on the gas too hard to make sure you're staying in control. But if you do that, I was able to stretch out, and I was very surprised by that, and I owe Harry quite a bit for getting me a top 5 there.
I know I was in a party with GP, and when I was going through the S's, he asked me like what my tire wear was at, and when I was coming through on the home straight on the final lap, like I have a screenshot, but like my like left tires were on like 70% at the start, and the right side was on like 55-ish. So I mean, they definitely they don't feel very good on like lap 25.
Well, around there too, you start to get into that puncture territory.
You definitely take the risk of that, but
yeah, it's definitely a gamble. We'll wrap up quickly. Doth, do you remember where you finished?
Yeah, sorry about that. Just had a random knock at the door at 9:30 at night, so I had to attend to that. So I qualified second. I ended up I made some contact with RC in turn 1 and ended up spinning around in circles. Dropped all the way to 20th and then pit on lap 1 to try to go for the mega super undercut onto the mediums. And I kind of realized, like, 15 laps into my medium stint that the right strategy would have been soft medium. Because even though the percentage number was high, the tires were still fast. So I was like, somebody's going to pull off the one stop and they're going to win. And there you go.
Yeah. And quickly, RC, do you remember where you finished?
Yeah, I was just in front of Dawson. So, I don't remember the contact in turn 1. It was maybe coming out of turn 3, maybe.
Well, I know the start was a bit hectic. I think we were almost 3-4 wide in turn 1. I had a rocking start. My qualifying was ruined, but it was close through there. And then, Fuzz, any last thoughts?
Not really. I had a very quiet race here. I was kind of off the pace, and while I had a decent qualifying, I think off the start I lost out in a few positions because there would be cars going into a corner on either side of me, and I know from experience that that's never going to end well for me if we end up going 3 wide. So I had to constantly keep backing out of those, and that happened like 2 or 3 times on the first lap. I ended up, I think, 18th despite starting in like 11th, and I never got the drive out of the last corner to keep making those overtakes. So I spent a lot of time just sat behind people and just making sure I finished the race basically. Yeah, so it was a quiet race for me. I think I picked up 1 point again, but yeah, obviously not where I want to be, but it is what it is at this point.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think obviously that is the season so far.
Yeah.
A lot to look forward to.
Oh yeah.
We did go through.
If we have the information, we could probably announce the driver of the day for Mexico.
Oh, I do have that. If you can give me a minute. If anyone has anything to say.
Yeah, I do have something very, very important to mention. So obviously we didn't give a lot of airtime to every driver here, but there's a few drivers, 4 specifically, that definitely deserve a massive, massive shout out. And that's Sam, Stig, Prince Ali, and Zoinks. Zoinks being the important one. Because no matter what, like, obviously these guys aren't constantly battling at the front or even for points, but they have very consistently and without fail shown up to every race and driven the entire race no matter where they are at any given point. Like, I've found myself in a position where, okay, I'm in 15th place, I'm not gonna score points, there's 10 laps to go, there's no way I'm gonna, make my way into the top 10, I'm just gonna go into the pits and retire. These guys absolutely never ever do that, and I have an insane amount of respect for all of these guys. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there that, it's not like we're not acknowledging any of these. Like, these guys, I think, have a higher place, in my opinion, than anyone in the midfield or in the front who shows up and races every week, because these guys do it despite, not having a very massive incentive to do so.
Well, I think it's important you say that, though, because I obviously agree with everything you've said, and I do feel they're all great contributors to the league. I mean, 3 of the guys you listed there, actually all 4 of the guys you listed there, Doth can attest, they were from the very first season. They've been here for a while.
Race 1.
Yeah, for a few of them, race 1, the very beginning. So I think it's important to acknowledge what you were saying, Fuzz, and just kind of to add on to that. They've all played a big part in kind of making this what it is, and the continued growth is thanks in large part to the people who were here at the beginning, who all kind of bought in right from the beginning. There was always that level of respect amongst one another, and it's kind of I think with each new addition, each new person who comes into the league, it's extended to them as well, and we've just kind of been able to keep building off of that. So I think that's a very important point. I am glad you brought it up, and yeah, I do apologize that we haven't been able to give everyone the airtime that they might deserve. But yeah, you know.
Yeah, obviously,
You
like
guys.
a few good mentions would be Ryan having very solid points finishes. I think there's only been 2 races where he didn't finish in the points, so that's a very solid, consistent performance. It's similar with Sir Harry Hotspur, very one of our most consistent drivers.
Yeah.
Gruesome car as well, Zieg, Bigger, of course. Bigger has been mentioned a few times, but not in a super positive light. But
But
our
yeah,
fearless
no, and
leader,
for
our
sure.
overlord.
They're all guys who have been here from the beginning. So yeah, big thanks to them. T1 wouldn't be what it is. We wouldn't have a T2 or an EU tier without you guys. So big thank you. Obviously, thank you to everyone in the league for just showing up and taking it seriously. Honestly, we haven't had any real serious issues. So yeah, I love it. I look forward to Monday nights. I look forward to Thursdays, even if I'm just a spectator, and I look forward to Sundays now as well. So, very important to note on that. I will announce driver of the day for Mexico is JFD. Congrats!
Yay!
Done
Yep, thank you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I gotta give that
The
one to
car
Harry.
goes wild.
Harry was
I
the
will say. Go ahead.
Harry
Go
was
ahead.
the one that Harry was the one that encouraged me to do that. I was behind the Zeke, Ryan, and Biga train for probably about the first 10, 12, 14 laps, and just kind of conserving the tires. And Harry told me I could pull it off, and I'll be honest, I doubted him, and he pushed me through and helped me get that top 4-5 finish. So I think that one is just as much Harry as it is myself.
Well, there you go, Harry. If you're listening, co-driver of the driver of the day. I do want to say I'm leading the championship, and I haven't won driver of the day once, guys. Come on, something's not right.
Do
That
something
needs to be
impressive and we
fixed.
might vote for
Do
you.
something impressive next week. What do you want? I'll do it.
What's the next track? Bahrain, right? It's one of your
It's
strong
Bahrain,
tracks.
so
Start last and
okay.
finish. Start last and win the race. That's when you get driver of the day.
I'm not risking starting last, but keep that in mind, everyone who votes for driver of the day. All right.
I am not looking forward to Bahrain.
Nope. Hate Bahrain.
I am very much looking forward to it. I've got great pace.
Tough user rule, no line.
No line. I could maybe score points. I doubt it. But anyways, though, thanks to everyone who has listened. I think we've already covered kind of the thank yous in that aspect. But if you are a fan, do please continue to watch every Monday and Thursday. This Thursday, we will be doing something similar. We'll go through Tier 2, kind of recap what's happened, what's been happening. We'll try to give everyone a bit of airtime. A lot of new drivers in Tier 2 and a lot of guys who have already kind of made a name for themselves in the Discord as characters. So it'll be fun. Another fun evening. Maybe some different guests. We'll see who we can get along with
Shout
us.
out to all our Tier 1 commentators so far, especially Caddy, who isn't here anymore, but Electric Chicken, Terminal Deity, JXW, Scavney? No.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Scavney stepped up
Yeah,
for
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yep.
So
Gozo as well.
it's very unique that ours is one of the leagues that doesn't have a shortage of commentators, which is quite amazing because other leagues usually are scrambling to find one. But
Yeah, and it's a
here
tough
people
gig.
just enjoy it.
It's-
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's hard. So, big thanks. And it's been fun to see kind of the progression and the comfort level amongst our various commentators as you kind of do a
Absolutely.
few and feel better. But we've taken this far too long. Please
Yeah.
tune in. The second half definitely promises to be exciting. It is very tight in the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship. Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. Every week, I think we have 10 races left.
Yes.
10 races left.
11.
11 left. Oh,
11
right.
races left, even better. Everyone likes more races. So, with the lack of sports going on right now, we are the best thing around. Very exciting, always competitive. This is ZOR, Puff Digital, joined by JFD, Fuzz, Doth, RC, and T Money. Thank you guys so much, and have a good night, everyone.
See ya.